Now, the last question, we want to look at another way of solving it. Let me just call that method 2. In this method, now this is the same question we solved in the last video. Now, what are we going to do? We leave all the angles as they are. In the last video, if you remember, when you are resolving along the vertical component, we always force our angle to be on the vertical component. So all those ones that are not there, we minus from 90. And it is along the horizontal, if it is along the horizontal component, those ones that are not along the horizontal component, we minus from 90 and we force them to be on the horizontal component. But in this approach, you don't care whether it is along, whether it is on the horizontal axis or vertical axis, that is your angle. So now, our vertical component still remains RV, our horizontal component still remains RH. Now, what is RV? Mind you, this is plus y, this is plus x, minus y, minus x. Now, if we want to resolve along the vertical component now, if we start from 3 again, 3 is on the positive y-axis. So we pick 3 as, we pick it, that's 3. Now, we are resolving along the y-axis, that's along the vertical component. So the next thing is 4. And our angle is still inclined to the vertical component. So that will be 4 sine 30. So that's plus 4 sine 30. Then after that, we have 5. But our 5 is on the horizontal component and we are resolving along the vertical component. Our 5 will be 0. Now, the next one, we have moved to the negative y-axis now, is 6. Now, our angle is inclined to the vertical component, to the horizontal component, and we are resolving along the vertical components. So it will be 6 cos 40 instead of 6 sin 90 this time around. In the last case, you remember we just minus from 90. Whatever answer we get, we call it, we still retain sine. But in this case, since it is inclined to the horizontal, and we are resolving along the vertical component, you pick that 40, but it will be cos 40. So that will be 6 cos 40 degree. Then after that, we have 7. 7 is still on the y-axis, and it is on the negative y-axis. So we pick that 7. That will be minus 7, since it is on the negative y-axis. Then after that, we have 8. 8 is still on the negative y-axis. Our angle is inclined again to the horizontal, and we are resolving along the vertical component. So that will be minus 8 cos 50 instead of sine. So minus 8 cos 50, minus 8 cos 50. The next one is 9. And our 9 is on the vertical, on the horizontal component. So we call it 0. So that will be minus 0. Then plus, now we are now back to the positive y direction. So, and our angle is inclined to the vertical already. So that will be 10 sine 60. So that will be plus 10 sine 60. If we do that well enough, our vertical component of resultant, if we add all these together, will be minus 3.078 Newton. Now, let us resolve along the horizontal component. If we start again from this 3, since we are resolving along the horizontal component, in this case, 3 will be 0, since 3 is on the vertical component. So 3 is 0, plus what? 4. Now, we are in the positive x-axis. Our angle is inclined to the vertical. So, and we are resolving along the horizontal component. On the last video, it will be cos, but since our angle is inclined to the vertical now, it will be what? It will be 4 sine 30 plus what? Our 5 is on the horizontal component. That will be plus 5. Now, the next is 6. 6 is inclined to the horizontal component, and we are resolving along the horizontal component. That will be 6 cos 40. 6 cos 40. Then we have 7. We are still on the vertical. 7. 7 is on the vertical y-axis. So it will be 0 since we are resolving along the horizontal component. So that will be what? That will be plus 0 or minus 0, anything you like. 0 has no negative or positive. Now, the next is 8. Our angle is inclined to the horizontal. So that will be, now we are also in the negative x direction. 8 minus 8 cos 50, minus 8 cos 50. Then after that, we have 9. 9 is on the horizontal component already. So we pick minus 9. Then 10. 60 is inclined. We are still in the negative x axis, that is horizontal component, the negative segment of the horizontal component. So and 60 is inclined to the vertical. So instead of cos now it will be 10 sine 60. So that will be 10 sine 60. If we add all that together for the horizontal component of resultant, we have minus 11.206 Newton as answer. Now, after we have gotten that, now our vertical component of resultant RV is minus 3.078. That means we will draw a line along the vertical component. Now, but minus there means along the negative y-axis. So our line is pointing downward. So that's our 3.078. You won't have to put minus again. The arrow shows it is negative y-axis already. Now, horizontal components of resultant RH, we have minus 11.206 Newton. So these are our negative x-axis. These are positive x-axis. Since it is minus, it is negative x-axis. Our arrow will point in that direction, and we complete our triangle. After we have done that, we now find the resultant using Pythagoras theorem. Hypotenuse square equals to opposite square plus adjacent square. Now hypotenuse, which is this, is our resultant. So r square now will be opposite square, rv square plus re square. So r will be this square, when it moves to the opposite side, will be square root of rv square plus rh square. So now our rv square is what? Vertical component of resultant, that's 3.078 square. You don't need to put the minus there again. And again, even if you put the minus there, square, the negative will cancel. So that is this. And our RH, which is horizontal component of resultant, is minus 11.206 Newton. If you square it, 11.206 square, you have this. So if you add this together and you find the square root, you are going to have 11.62 Newton. And you see that the answer we get is the same as the answer we get in the last video. So you can use any of these, the two approach to find the resultant for this kind of question.